In the category of depressive disorders, we have major depressive disorder. When people imagine depression, this is most likely the condition that they are imagining in their mind. For those with major depressive disorder, the severity of their condition can range from mild to severe. But no matter the severity, the symptoms will last for 2 or more weeks and can cause significant impairment in life. For some, their major depressive episode will come out of seemingly nowhere, while for others it may be triggered by a specific season or pregnancy. You might be wondering, what are the symptoms for major depressive disorder? This is a great question, and let's discuss them in more depth. But first, my name is Keegan. I have a master's degree in counseling. I make videos like this to help you understand various concepts in the world of counseling, psychology, and mental health. When it comes to the symptoms of major depressive disorder, someone experiencing the condition won't necessarily have all of the symptoms that we're going to talk about. Instead, they need 5 or more of these symptoms to qualify for a diagnosis. Then, depending on the number of symptoms that they're experiencing, this will go toward determining the level of severity of their major depressive episode. As we go over the symptoms of major depressive disorder, know that these symptoms are from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, 5th edition text revision. I mention this because there are other sources that people might pull from for a diagnosis, such as the International Classification of Diseases from the World Health Organization. In this case though, we'll be using the DSM-5-TR. The first of the symptoms that someone might experience is depressed mood. This symptom is not actually required for a diagnosis of major depressive disorder, but for those who do experience it, they may describe it as feeling depressed, having a low mood, or being down in the dumps. Others might describe it as feelings of sadness, a sense of hopelessness, or a general feeling of being discouraged. For others still, they may say that they have no feelings. If someone doesn't experience the first symptom of depressed mood, they must then experience the second symptom, which is having less interest or pleasure in almost all, if not all, activities. For some though, they may experience this along with the depressed mood. Either way, the second symptom of having less interest or pleasure in almost all, if not all, activities might be described as not caring anymore, or that they can't find enjoyment or pleasure in things that they used to or usually enjoy. For some who experience this, they may have reduced sexual interest or desire. And in some cases, people might find that they no longer find enjoyment in the hobbies that they used to seek out. The third symptom is a change in appetite. For some, this will be a decrease in their appetite. For those experiencing this, in some cases, they may find that they need to force themselves to eat. As a result, for some, they may experience significant weight loss. But when it comes to appetite change, for some, they'll notice an increase in their appetite. It might be that the person is just generally feeling more hungry than usual. Or for others, they might find that they have cravings for specific foods. For example, they might have an increased sweet tooth or want to eat more sweet foods. For those that experience an appetite increase, they may also notice that they gain weight. Sleep disturbance is the fourth symptom. Like appetite, sleep disturbance can result in increased or decreased sleep. For some, they might struggle with insomnia during their depressive episode. Most often, this is going to appear as waking up in the middle of the night and struggling to fall back asleep, or waking up too early in the morning and then struggling to fall asleep. However, for some, they might find that they struggle falling asleep at the beginning of the night. For those who have increased sleep during their major depressive episode, this might be that they are sleeping more throughout the night, or that they're struggling with increased sleep throughout the day also. Fifth, some people might notice an increase or decrease in their movement. For some, this will include feelings of being restless, pacing, difficulty sitting still, or just some general need for some sort of movement. Others, though, may become more lethargic. This might include feeling as though they are moving more slowly, talking more slowly, or taking longer to respond. There can also be changes in speech, such as a decrease in volume, talking less, becoming more monotone, or experiencing muteness. The sixth symptom involves energy levels. This can appear as fatigue, increased feelings of tiredness, or a general sense of decreased energy. When this happens, the drop in energy can be the result of movement, or even if there isn't movement involved. This might mean that the person is doing things around the house and is feeling more tired or exhausted from these things than they typically would. But it could also be that they've been laying in bed all day, feeling depressed, and are very exhausted from this experience. It can also be that things take more time or energy than they usually do. Feelings of worthlessness or guilt are the seventh symptom. These feelings can appear for people in a variety of ways. It might be that the person is perceiving things that are happening to them in a more negative way than they typically would. Or it might be that the person is more fixated or focused on past negative events that have happened. With this symptom, it's not uncommon for people to feel responsible for things that are not their fault, or for them to blame themselves for things that are actually caused by the depression. In some cases with this symptom, people might experience delusional type thinking, meaning that they believe something that is not true to be the fact and cannot be convinced otherwise. The DSM-5-TR provides an example here of someone feeling as though they are responsible for world poverty. The 8th symptom is difficulty concentrating or making decisions. For some, this may result in being more easily distracted or struggling with their memory more than usual. And in some cases, people might not be able to function in the ways that they typically would, which may result in having to miss work, for example. When it comes to the elderly, this symptom might be confused for early signs of dementia. However, it should be noted that a major depressive episode can be one of the first signs of dementia. Next, we're going to cover the final symptom of major depressive disorder and talk about some additional experiences that people might have. But first, if you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please help me out by giving it a like and subscribing. The 9th and final symptom for major depressive disorder is thoughts of death, thoughts of suicide, or suicide attempts. These can range from thoughts of wishing that they were dead or wishing that they wouldn't wake up in the morning to thoughts that include planning for suicide. For some, they may begin to act on a plan in some way, such as completing or updating a will, buying needed materials for the suicide, or planning a day and time. These all represent more severe suicidality. It's important to say here that if you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, help is available. For help, call or text 988 or go to the nearest emergency room. So as a therapist, when we diagnose someone with major depressive disorder, there are multiple specifiers that we can connect to the diagnosis. Specifiers are a way to indicate a specific presentation of a diagnosis, meaning that for some people with major depressive disorder, the way that they experience this condition is going to fall into one of these categories that we then have a specifier for. The first specifier is with anxious distress. This specifier indicates that with this major depressive episode, the person is experiencing increased anxiety as well. Symptoms for this specifier include being tense or on edge, restless, or having increased worry. They might also have feelings that something bad is going to happen, or feeling as though they might lose control in some way. Second is a mixed features specifier. For this, the person might experience increased mood, increased self-esteem, become more talkative, have racing thoughts, increased activity, have increased participation in high-risk activities, or a decreased need for sleep. Third is a melancholic specifier. This includes a loss of pleasure, or if something good happens, having no reaction to it. Additionally, they might experience an empty mood, profound despondency, a worse mood in the mornings, a noticeable increase or decrease in movement, significant weight loss, or excessive guilt. Fourth is the specifier for with atypical features. In this case, the person might have a more reactive mood, meaning that it brightens more easily. They might experience increased appetite, sleeping more than usual, feeling as though their body is heavy in some way, which might be a sense that they have weights on their arms or legs that are holding them down or making them really hard to move. And additionally, this person might have a pattern in life of being rejected. Fifth, for some who experience major depressive disorder, they might also experience hallucinations and or delusions. In this case, a specifier of with psychotic features is used. Catatonia is the 6th specifier. In this case, the person will experience 3 or more of the following. First is stupor, where they don't relate to what's going on around them. Second is cataplexy, where they may passively hold a posture that they're put into. Third is waxy flexibility. This is where they'll be able to be easily molded into a specific posture that someone puts them in, and there will be a little bit of resistance when the person does it. Fourth is mutism, where there is very little to no verbal response. Fifth is negativism, which is where they don't respond to external stimuli. Sixth is posturing, where they will actively maintain a posture that's against gravity. Seventh is mannerism, or an odd way of doing normal actions. Eighth is stereotypy, which are repetitive or non-goal directed movements. Ninth is agitation. 10th is grimacing. 11th is echolalia, where they will mimic somebody else's speech. And 12th is echopraxia, which is where they copy somebody else's movements. So those are some of the things that are looked for in the specifier of catatonia. The 7th specifier that we're going to talk about is with peripartum onset. This means that the major depressive episode began during pregnancy or within the first month following pregnancy. The eighth and final specifier is for a seasonal pattern. In this case, the major depressive episode has a relationship to a particular time of year, such as winter. It means that the person for the last 2 or more years has had a depressive episode during this season. Additionally, over their lifetime, depressive episodes have been outnumbered during this season compared to other times of the year. This has been an overview of major depressive disorder and some of the various symptoms people can experience as part of this condition. While you're here, make sure that you check out some of the other videos on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.